So we are following that up with Sleepaway Camp, one of the most interesting movies ever made, in my opinion. Jim, I'm definitely interested in hearing what you have to say about it. We haven't talked about this, but I suspect I know your reaction because I feel like there is only one possible reaction to this movie. But we'll get into that shortly. Well, I mean, there's so many different parts, of course. I almost want like your reaction to each individual scene. This is a movie that I wish you and I could have watched together. It's a shame we're doing this remotely, of course. But it's a movie that you feel like you need to talk about it right when you see it. Like while you're seeing it, you feel like you need to talk to somebody, therapists, pets, somebody. I mean, it's one of those movies. And before we get started, again, to kind of reiterate, this movie's available to see anywhere. It's absolutely incredible. It's so much fun. I constantly waver on if it's a good bad movie or a bad good movie, but at any rate, it truly needs to be seen to be believed. Like, I think I said that about like Dr. Alien, and that's nothing compared to this. A big reason why you need to see it before you listen here is that this has a twist ending that's actually really well done, in my opinion. That's probably the most effective part of this otherwise very amateur film. But so we will not spoil it until we get to the end.
Okay, good.
but we obviously have to talk about the ending because oh my god.
Yeah, it's a very strange movie. I'm glad you told me not to go or not to look up anything about it before going into it, because I don't know, I had to get up and walk away from my computer as soon as I finished watching it. I just stood up and left.
Yeah.
I went out for a walk. I was I don't know what to think.
It recontextualizes what you know about the world. It's like you finish watching it and you're like, what have I been doing with my life before I had seen this movie? Like I truly lived before I had seen this.
I feel like I see colors differently, you know? I feel like I hear things differently now.
I hear colors now. I've been able to hear colors ever since I first saw Sleepaway Camp several years ago.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Anyways, literally the first frame of this movie is fascinating because it opens with this little title card thing, or it's not a title, but it's a dedication, which movies typically don't have in the opening. That's like a book thing. Mm-hmm. You know, at the end of the movie, you might say, in memory of so-and-so who died during production. But here it opens with, in fond memory of Mom, a doer. Which I suppose this is director Robert Hiltzig's throwing that in there because he really cared about his mom. And it's very strange. And it's a little more strange once you actually see the movie. And it's like, is this the kind of movie that you want to dedicate to your mother?
Yeah.
In terms, and not even in terms of quality. I'm talking content here. What's actually in the movie? We get incredibly over-dramatic horror music playing over shots of an empty, abandoned sleepaway camp, which is actually a term I had never heard of before I saw this movie, but it's a camp that people sleep at in the summer, so, you know. And after the credits are done, we then meet a couple characters. Okay, so I have to slow down here for a second. When Joe Bob Briggs hosted this movie on the Last Drive-In Marathon on Shudder, he said something that I think is very important. He said, pay extra special attention to the opening scene and to the final scene. And then, he didn't say this, but I think it's more or less implied, the rest of the movie is nonsense to a certain extent. But this opening scene, we've got to go slow because there's a lot of information given to us, and we don't realize all of it's important until later. But we meet John, a man of, you know, mid-30s, late 30s, early 40s, who's got his two kids. He's got a young girl and a young boy. They're about 4 or 5. We don't get their names, but they're hanging out on this little sailboat. And then eventually they push him off and the sailboat flips over. Mm-hmm. There is also a water skier. A preteen girl is water skiing with a lifeguard and some girl in the boat. The girl convinces the lifeguard to let her drive the boat, which she had never done before. And then, obviously, things go wrong from here. Another man comes out and says to John, the guy who's now in the water because his stupid kids threw him in there, he says, like, hey, listen, get ready, the doc's coming over. And then, I think it's the girl says to John, like, Aunt Martha's coming over?
Yeah.
And is Ricky coming too? And then he's like, no, Ricky's with his father. Stick with us. This is all fairly important. And then it's the water skier that notices they're about to run over run over and decapitate the poor people near the shore. And she's like screaming for them to stop, but they can't hear her, and they're also not looking at where they're going either. And then once they realize, then they can't turn in time. So they run over John. John is killed. We see him floating lifelessly. And we see a mangled life vest, a mangled child's life vest.
Yeah.
With no body attached to it. We see a kid from behind them kind of struggling, still alive, but, you know. And the water skier screams in utter terror, which is pretty enjoyable. And then the scene ends. So, initial reactions to this first scene. I feel like we have to go over this after every scene because this movie's great. Because the next scene's almost as baffling.
Yeah, well, okay. When it opened, I was like, oh, okay, I understand what's going on here. You know, like a dad and his kids are hanging out.
What a fleeting feeling.
Yeah, yeah. That father loves their children like my father never loved me. No, I'm kidding. He's great. But it was just like a normal scene.
Your father was in Black Christmas. He better have loved you.
Exactly, yeah. No, I mean, it was just like a normal scene. The thing that really did it for me was the people in the speedboat, where as soon as this camp counselor, lifeguard person lets this teenage girl drive, like, you know, firstly, like, something bad is going to happen. But
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but then secondly, it's like they're the two dumbest people on the planet.
Yes.
They're like the most oblivious.
What's she saying? I don't know.
Well, and it's weird because
they're not looking where they're going.
No, like it cuts to them. They're talking to each other. Like their faces, like they're not even looking anywhere remotely where they're going. They're just talking to each other. And then the girl behind them, water skiing, starts yelling at them. And they're like, huh? Well, what's she saying? I can't hear her. Huh? And they just keep on looking back at her. And I'm like, what? Then you have, I think, it was either the guy on shore or the father in the water. He yelled or something. And they're still like, huh? And they're like, well, that was weird. And then they just turn and there's like two kids and a father in the water, like 40 feet in front of them.
I also like after they run over the boat, or after they run over the sailboat with the two kids and John near it, their speedboat is immediately stopped.
Yeah.
Because when they cut to the reaction shots, the boat's not moving. So even though they were going like 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, and I just, like, I don't, like, that part was weird, but, it made me feel dumb watching it, because I was like, you know, is it just me? Maybe I'm the only person who looks where I'm driving a boat? I don't know.
Well, I've never driven a boat, so maybe I would act like this. I don't know. It's probably a good thing that I have never driven a boat. I've driven a jet ski, and... well, I have a body count associated with that, so it's probably more of the same with the boat.
Well, I guess what I think about this scene is nothing too ridiculous other than how it plays out.
What? Yeah, everything is ridiculous. Well, I mean, everything about those is ridiculous.
I mean, like, I'm going with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm going with it. The only thing that's absolutely ridiculous is the two people driving the boat who apparently don't know how to drive.
Well, yeah, and we don't know this yet. We know it because I'm saying we know it, but we don't realize yet how all those like lines when the guy comes out and tells them the doc's coming over, that stuff's all really important.
Yes.
So we don't realize how much information we're actually getting, which is actually that's like twist ending 101.
Yeah.
To deliver us information in a way that we don't realize we're getting all the information we need.
When I heard that line, I was like, what the fuck are they talking about? I was like, I don't know. And then immediately after that, people were run over. So, you know, I'm just like, I'm going with it. That's my
anyways, 8 years later, we meet who this doc person is, and it's Aunt Martha, played by Desiree Gould, giving the most insane performance maybe that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good or bad.
She's in her house, and she is readying her two kids, one of them being her niece, for going to camp. Ricky, who we heard from the previous scene, is the doc's, or Aunt Martha's son, so he's getting ready, and he seems kind of normal, but Aunt Martha's coming off as insane. I don't know how to explain it. You need to see the movie.
Yeah.
And then there's Angela's Ricky's cousin, the survivor of the opening scene, and she doesn't say a word until I looked almost exactly 31 minutes in. I think it's 31 minutes 2 seconds is her first line. So she's disturbed. We can tell that pretty early on. So Aunt Martha Aunt Martha, in a scene that's maybe a little more obvious about how much information it's giving us, she gives them a couple of notes, and she's like, these are your physical information. You guys can't go to camp without this. Just be sure to not tell anyone how you got them. And then she adds, even though they know I am a doctor. Which, like, yeah, this is how people talk.
Yeah, yes. I don't even know what to think. Again, this was something where as soon as she opened her mouth on screen, I was like, what is going on? What is happening? She played...
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the most confusing performance you've, like, ever seen.
Her performance is, like, she comes across as really airy, but, like, heavily sedated at the same time. Yeah, she's kind of,
like, ditzy, and, like, because she's got the little thing, little string tied to her finger to remind her. And that, I guess people who forget things a lot do that. I don't know.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I think that's what that was about. But then she's just like, the rhythm of how she speaks is just so off. And you think you're seeing the worst performance in movie history. Mm-hmm. And then again, when we get to the end of the movie, it makes sense. It's still possibly the worst performance in movie history, but it makes sense why it's that bad to a certain extent.
I don't know if the end of the movie justifies the performance, but, I mean, you can at least understand...
Oh, we can talk about that. I think it does.
Oh, okay.
So, following that, we get another incredible scene, because all of the kids arrive at camp, and it's mostly young kids running, and they're running down a hill. It's immediate chaos from the beginning. The kids are screaming, people are yelling. We see Mel chomping on his cigar. He's the camp owner. And then we also see Ronnie wearing his tight-ass shorts. And he's like this... I guess he's like the second in charge. I don't know what his position would be, but he's the head counselor, maybe. Anyways, they're giving all these kids orders, and they just run by. And then we meet some of our other adults working at the camp.
Oh, my God.
Including Artie, the cook, who's, he looks like a creepy old guy, or old, you know what I mean? And then his first line of dialogue is, look at all that young, fresh chicken.
Doesn't it make your mouth wet?
Oh no, what am I watching?
Yeah.
And then what's almost the funniest part about this movie is his colleague, James Earl Jones's dad, the other cook, is like, oh man, they don't even know they're too young to even know what you're talking about. And he's like, there ain't no such thing as being too young, you're just too old.
Yeah.
And then Robert Earl Jones just laughs it off. Oh, my colleague and friend is admitting to his pedophilia, and I'm just okay with it. Oh, it's all good in good fun. This scene's incredible.
I want to point out the two worst lines from that whole fucking scene, because it's incredible. Because you're right, it's just how do they?
It's incredibly uncomfortable.
Well, yeah, and how do they play off pedophilia like that? You're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, even times have changed, but I think even in the 80s, this was messed up. I feel pretty safe in saying that.
Well, yeah, then
he's open about it to his colleagues, and I guess he has reason to be, because he knows that they're going to think he's joking, even though he's not.
Yeah, and it is so disgusting, because the two worst lines in this scene come from, what's his name, Artie? He goes, doesn't it just make your mouth wet? And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then
he calls them baldies.
Yeah, and he says, where I come from, we call them baldies. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching? What is this?
And then I also love the performance, too, because he's, kind of chewing on, a little, a thing of wheat or whatever, a long blade of grass. And as he's looking at the kids, he just kind of, sucks on it in a really creepy way. And the camera just lingers on him. It's so messed up.
I was off-put immediately. I was like, oh my God. Or put off immediately, I guess.
Yeah, no, this movie is something else. I have never seen a movie that deals with this issue in quite the same way. This issue being a horrific crime of pedophilia. No, we're just gonna... Again, the fact that it's introduced the second we meet this guy is insane. The fact that it's laughed off is insane. Yeah. The fact that we return to it just a couple minutes later is insane. Everything about this is insane.
Yeah, that's I completely agree with you. Insane.
So Ricky then introduces Angela to his friend Paul. He mentions that Angela's really shy and she doesn't talk much, and this is her first time really, leaving the house. And then Ricky goes over to try and talk to Judy, who was his camp girlfriend last summer, but since she's now allegedly, and I say allegedly because not really, but since she's allegedly sprouted tits, she no longer wants to talk to the boys her age and instead talks exclusively to the 30-year-old campers.
Yeah.
Because this is important. We've got your 12-year-olds. I think they're 12 or 13, like Ricky, Angela, Paul, that age group.
Yeah,
and that's what Judy's supposed to be. You can tell the actress is a little older, and they dress her up to look young with giving her stupid hair and stupid wardrobe. She even has a shirt that says Judy at one point. And then the older campers, who I think are supposed to be like 15 or 16, are like clearly adults.
Yeah.
Like these are like, some of these guys are probably old enough to run for president. They're definitely old enough to drink.
Dude, and they've been powerlifting for like the last 20 years of their life, you know?
Well, the really ripped one is Ronnie. So I gotta push back on that at least a bit, because Ronnie again. Well, and that's the thing though. Ronnie doesn't look any older than the older counselor, or than the older campers, even though he's a counselor.
Yeah, and I feel like they try to use like fake tan or even like real tan to make people look older. You know what I mean? Like Ronnie is like tanned, like he's like a different.
I think that's just him. I think this is just like a Long Island bodybuilder dude who just like the actor. I think that's what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got that really strong accent. Like
he does.
There are just
right.
people like that. I think that's just who he is, because these guys aren't like. Most of them aren't like real actors. The guy who plays Mel is actually a real actor, and I assume Robert Earl Jones is an actor because his son is.
Well, hold on. Now, before we move on, I also want to point out the guy who played Mel. I totally
Mike Kellen is the name.
When I first saw him, I thought that was Hugh Hefner, like an older Hugh. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, that guy looks like a less rich Hugh Hefner, a poorer Hugh Hefner.
Okay. Well, Mike Kellen might give my favorite performance in this movie. Like, he's not necessarily that it's good, but it's just like incredible. But also, like, I think they nailed that character. Like,
yeah.
He looks like such classic old guy who I don't know. He's just like perfect for the part. He's just this like old guy who doesn't know what he's talking about. Can't relate to the kids in any way.
I also like that he doesn't give a shit. He's like, I don't care. Yeah,
he's the Jaws mayor.
Is he really?
That's basically what his character is. Because once people start dying, he's just like, we got to keep this camp open. Like that's what his character is. No, he's not the Jaws mayor. The Jaws mayor is Murray Hamilton.
Yeah, I was thinking about it for a second. I was like, no, he isn't. Yeah, you're right. That's his role in this movie.
So Angela goes to her cabin and just immediately stares at Judy, and Judy starts yelling at her like, "Yo, what's your problem? Why are you staring at me?" And then Meg,
yeah,
who's the one of two counselors in this cabin. I guess she's kind of the head of the cabin. Walks up to Judy, who she's probably known for a few years because Judy's been there before, and she's just like, "Oh, looks like we got a real winner here," or something. Like, so this person just openly making fun of Angela with one of the counselors, and the other counselor, I don't recall her name, but she's nice to Angela. She's one of, like, two people who are nice. I think it's her and Ronnie are, like, the only nice people in this movie. Everyone else, it should be stated, is basically insane. People are so angry in this movie. It's incredible. My favorite instance of which is the lifeguard, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But everyone is just constantly angry and screaming and swearing. It's just... Again, it's unlike anything you've seen before.
Yeah, it's almost like the whole movie is like somebody just set up a camcorder in front of like a playground of totally rambunctious kids on like a sugar high or something. You know what I mean? Like everybody's just
and by yelling. Kids, you mean also 35-year-old adults too.
Yeah, of course. Well, like, and there's even a scene later on in the movie when Angela's walking down a dock and all these, like, younger kids playing in the sand just pick up their, like, shovels full of sand and just start chucking it at her as, like, she's walking by and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Everyone hates Angela immediately when they meet her. Everyone except for, obviously, Ricky, because he's known her for years, and Paul, and then this other counselor that I mentioned, and I guess Ronnie. Yeah. Because Ronnie's a good guy.
Yeah,
but everyone else just hates her. Anyways, the next scene is at lunch in the cafeteria, and we see there's just hundreds of people. This is like a huge camp. Meg goes up to Mel, the camp owner, to complain about how Angela won't eat anything. And then Ronnie goes to try and help, and he's like, "Hey, Angela, let's take you back to talk to the chef. Maybe he'll be able to make something you like. Maybe we'll have some, like, ice cream or something." And of course, that's the last place you want to take a young kid, because she comes face to face with Artie, the pedophile guy. He even just his line delivery here. It's like, if I'm Ronnie, I don't feel comfortable leaving a kid with that guy.
No, exactly.
But he's like, oh yeah, I've got something for you real good. And he takes her inside the pantry and he's unbuckling his belt. And then it's interrupted when Ricky comes in, goes like, what the hell's wrong with you? And he takes Angela and they run away. But he also, Artie also threatens him and is like, you can't say a word about this to anybody. And then so they get the fuck out of there.
The thing that was amazing about that scene was how fast this pedophile works. You know, like,
oh yeah, I mean,
he met her, and 10 seconds later he was undoing his pants in the pantry, and you're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on pedophilia, but I would imagine there's usually a bit more of a bit more wooing involved, like building up, trust. You know? Yeah, but anyways, this is how Artie works, and he almost gets away with it. So the next scene, Artie is boiling a giant bowl of water. Like, we're talking about like a bowl like the size of him, just about.
A giant pot.
And he's
of water.
standing on a pot of water. Excuse me. And he's standing on top of a chair. And then someone. This is one of those, like the original Friday the 13th. This is one of those movies where we don't see the killer because it's a mystery.
Yeah.
So someone comes in and pulls the chair out from under him, and he recognizes the person. Through the dialogue, you can tell that he knows who this person is. And they pull the chair out, so he falls into the giant pot and spills it all over himself. And then is just blistering to, not to death. He actually doesn't die here, but this is a pretty gross makeup effect. Oh, yeah. He's screaming. It goes on for so long. I had to, when I watched this movie a couple times, I had to turn the volume down at this scene. It's just like he's screaming so loudly. And Robert Earl Jones comes in and is horrified by what he sees because it is great makeup effects. It's disgusting. He's got these like blisters forming on his body that actually change, not just from shot to shot, but even in the shots himself, like depending on how much his jaw is dropped. Like it's nasty.
It's definitely disgusting.
They bandage him up in the kitchen for some reason, and then the cop takes him away, and the cop's talking to Mel and Ronnie, the two people in charge. And they're like, okay, you know, he's really badly burned. And it's like, okay, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, and then, yeah, I think he says, what's the prognosis, doctor? He's like, well, he's severely burned.
He's like, well, as far as I could tell, he's badly burned. Like, or something like that. Mel then talks to the other kitchen staff, which is like two like kids, like 17, 18-year-old kids. It's tough to tell ages in this movie. Maybe they're supposed to be 14. I don't know. And Robert Earl Jones, and he says, like, listen, you guys won't say anything about this to anybody, and I'll give you guys a raise. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So, yeah.
The whole like scene where the pot is knocked over onto Artie. That's another thing where it's like I'm just imagining myself in that situation where I'm on a chair.
You have to go out of your way to fall the way he did.
Yeah. Like, and
he's in almost no danger.
No, and it's not like he was like leaning super far over the pot, and then his chair gets bumped once. He's like, "Whoa, what do you do? What are you doing that for?" Instead of like stepping off of the chair and turning around, he grabs onto like a shelf behind the pot.
Yeah, which that's just setting yourself up for disaster at that point.
Yeah, and he stands there for like the next 30 seconds, like, "Stop shaking the chair, why don't you? Hey, stop it! You're gonna knock me over. You know, this is boiling water here. Oh!" Then knocks the pot over. You're like, "What the fuck is going on? Is everybody in this movie stupid?"
Yes, kind of. I mean, they're insane, but there's some dumb people here too. So after Ricky, who's kind of more or less kind of the leader, he's the cool guy of his cabin. They do like a face in the butt prank on this nerdy kid Mozart. Yeah. They have to play a baseball game against the older campers, who again, I think they're like 15, 16, but they're well into their 20s at least. And they're playing this game, and this scene goes on forever, but it's probably my favorite scene of the movie, just because it's so pointless. I mean, it doesn't do anything. This really feels like a we had extra time. You know, our movie was running short, and all these kids and grown-ass men are hanging out at the camp, and so let's just shoot them as they play baseball or something. But it's...
Yeah, that's exactly
there's some great trash talking here, a lot of swearing. Ricky has one of the foulest mouths you've ever heard, and he has my favorite line of the movie when the other guy, the guy wearing the USC shirt, I think, tells him, you know, "Eat shit and die, Ricky," and he responds, "Eat shit and live, Bill." And it's like, that line is incredible. I don't know if that was improv and he like couldn't think of something better, but I kind of hope it was scripted. Anyways, one of my favorite parts of this scene, too, is there's a scene where there's a fly ball into right center field, and Mozart is playing right field, of course, and he's, like, playing his, like, electronic boxing game or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, Mozart, go catch it. And he's like, oh, shit, and he drops the game, and then he goes, and he just catches it. Like, what's the point of that? The scene's so tense, and it's completely meaningless.
I just don't understand the whole scene. Just kind of like what you're bringing up. Like, I don't even want to say it's definitely like a time filler, because I don't think it is. Like, I feel like they're just like, hey, let's show that people play at this camp. You know, and you're right, though. There's like so much like useless stuff within that scene. I don't know. I'm just so confused by it.
Oh, yeah, it's confusing. And then this is also one of the joys of this movie is how awful the clothing is. Like, the fashion is just insane. Yeah. This is like the 80s were a mistake movie. And this scene is probably the best example. I mentioned earlier with Ronnie, because he's got incredibly short, incredibly tight shorts. Ronnie's not in this scene, but the counselor for the younger kids is wearing a cut-off shirt that, like, it's not even midriff. It's like whole riff. It's like...
Oh, dude, I love it.
It's like cut off from the nipples down just about.
Yeah.
It is like the shortest shirt I have ever seen. Like,
he might be one of my favorite characters.
He doesn't have a lot to do in the movie. I wish we saw more of him. I don't even remember his name. This scene's great. At any rate, this scene ends. The little kids win. They win this game, this competitive athletic game against the older kids. But the older kids promise that they'll get them back. Cut to, we're at the main cabin, hall, whatever. People are just kind of hanging out, and the older boys / men want to get a skinny dipping session going, but they have 15 guys and no women at this point. So 2 of the people decide to go jokingly ask Angela to come with them, and because she hasn't said a word yet this movie, when they talk to her, she just kind of stares at them. And they get really angry at her and just start screaming at each other. And this starts a fight with Ricky and Paul, who walk in. Ricky's wearing this dope-ass cowboy hat for no reason. He just strolls in. He's wearing this cowboy hat. He's just like, I appreciate the confidence of that child actor to be wearing that cowboy hat in this scene. But they get in a physical fight.
He was fucking John Wayne. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, they get in a fight. It's broken up by the counselor you mentioned you liked and Mel. And then Paul goes to talk to Angela. And, you know, she's not saying anything at first. And he's saying, like, oh, you know, Ricky and I always get in trouble and, you know, whatever. As he's leaving, he says, good night, Angela. And then she responds, again, 31 minutes into the movie, she says, good night. And then he's like, he gets so excited and he leaves. Then we get the skinny dipping scene, which it is 15 men jumping in there, jumping in the water. It might be 13 men because 2 of them are off getting high. They're going to play a prank on some other women.
I like this scene so much. This group of guys go up to like 3 or 4 girls like standing on the beach. And they're like, are you sure you don't want to join? And they're like, yeah, no, we're good, thanks. Like, come on, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, well, fuck you then. We're going to do it. Yeah, guys, come on. Yeah. And all these guys are like getting pumped about skinny dipping with each other.
Yeah, they do it with like do it with like a we'll show them attitude. But like really, you're just a bunch of naked men jumping into the water.
Yeah, you're just showing each other your cocks. That's all you're doing. Just stop it. Why are you getting so excited?
They're showing each other their water snakes.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Because the two guys that asked Angela to go skinny dipping hit on 2 of the women, and they agree to go on little canoe rides with them, even though they're like 99% certain there's going to be some kind of prank, which there is, because one of the guys tips over the canoe and he's talking about like, oh, there might be water snakes in here or snapping turtles. And so the girl swims back to shore, and this is when you realize they're about 8 feet from shore. They're like super close. Yeah. And then this other guy is just kind of hanging around underneath the tipped boat, like in the little air bubble there. And then someone swims up and he's like, oh, hey, it's you. What are you doing here? Oh, I bet the boys would be interested in seeing you. Mm-hmm. And then that person drowns him. And this is when you get the idea that this is like the lamest way of killing people. Almost every death scene in this movie, the killer, who we don't see, I mean, we see the back of their head here, but we don't know who it is. The killer shows up, and almost every person who's about to be killed is like, oh, it's you. Like, they all die being like just like, they're not at all threatened. They're just like, oh, what are you doing here? It gets repetitive, but it's pretty great. Because the deaths themselves aren't repetitive. They're all weird and interesting for the most part.
I will say that this is the death that, I mean, like, the makeup coming up soon relating to this death was great, but the death itself was really boring because this.
Oh yeah, I mean, drowning is never that exciting in movies.
Well, no, but it was the best because, like, the guy's head gets pushed underwater, and then he has one hand that comes up and it just stays there for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, and then it cuts. It's a little silly. So, anyways, cut to in the morning. When the angriest person in the entire movie, and that is saying something, the lifeguard is cleaning up. He's just screaming about like all these kids leaving their crap around the beach. And then he looks over at the canoe and he's like, how the hell did that get there? which might be my favorite line delivery of the movie. And he goes and he flips over the canoe, and that's when he finds the guy's body with a snake crawling out of his mouth, which is really neat. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty gruesome scene. I mean, let's ignore the fact that it's a complete ripoff of A Bay of Blood, but they did it with like an octopus instead of a snake, but it's the same kind of thing.
I paused the movie the second time I was watching it, and I thought, why? I was like, this makeup looks really great, and it's pretty grisly and just gross. But I thought...
There are some surprisingly good effects in this movie. Makeup effects. There's one kill that actually looks really good. It's an effects kill.
Well, I was wondering, though, I was like, if you can have a guy on makeup who's making this look that good, what the fuck is going on with the rest of your movie? You know, how did you get one great artist to do their job, but you couldn't find, like, anybody else?
That's a fair question. You couldn't find competent actors to deliver their lines or anything. That's a fair question, yeah. Because you'd think, like, makeup is, like, I don't know if it's literally the hardest thing to do in a movie. I mean, I know it's not easy. But, like, if you want to do anything more complicated than just splashing a bucket of blood here or there, it's going to take some time. Whereas, like, acting, like, go to, like, a college theater program. You're going to find better people than you get in this movie for the most part.
Yeah.
Anyways, after this, the cop is back, and he's talking to Mel and Ronnie. Again, it's, like, the same scene. And Mel's like, oh, so it was obviously an accident. You know, the boy hit his head and then drowned. And then he's like, we'll have to do an autopsy to be sure. And then Ronnie raises suspicions because he says to the cop, and I like this line, he's like, I don't know. I remember that kid being a pretty good swimmer.
Yeah.
As if that refutes what Mel had said. Like, if he hits his head and gets knocked out, I mean, that's not what happened, but if he hits his head and gets knocked out, it doesn't matter how good a swimmer he is. Exactly. If he's in water, he's going to drown.
But no, I totally agree with you. I also like the cop in this scene, because after Ronnie delivers that line...
Because he has a real mustache in this scene.
Wait, what?
He has a real mustache in this scene. Later on, when he shows up, it's a very, very fake mustache.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a
and he gets more close-ups with the fake mustache than he does with the real one, too. It's almost like they want you to notice.
They're like, hey, look at this new fake mustache we just bought for $30.
He gets a lot of close-ups with that. It's insane. Like, why would you do that? Shoot him in shadow or something.
Yeah, no, it's great. Well, I mean, and there's also, after Ronnie delivers this line, he's like, oh, I thought he was a pretty good swimmer. Or I remember him being a pretty good swimmer. The cop goes, and then gets in his car. What, like, what's all the acting in this movie? What is this?
Yeah,
I don't think I could do a better job. I'm just confused by it.
Oh, I could do a better job than most people in this movie. I feel pretty confident saying that. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do better than Mike Kellen, who's giving it his all as he's just screaming at kids and grabbing them and threatening them. But I could do a better job than Aunt Martha, I guess. Even though, like I said, we'll revisit this. That performance makes more sense at the end of the movie, which you still disagree with me on. But
yeah, well, you know.
So the girls' cabin then plays volleyball with Angela not playing. She just sits and watches. Paul comes up and starts talking to her, and he asks her to join him at, the movie night thing. And she's like, oh, I thought we were all supposed to go to that. And he's like, well, yeah, but I was hoping if you could come with me. And then Judy gets really angry, and we haven't seen much of Judy recently. Mm-hmm. Judy's like, how come Angela gets to talk to the boys? And then Meg goes up there and yells at her and is like, if you're not going to participate in our activities, at least sit there and shut the fuck up or something. Like, she doesn't swear at her like
She's
that.
Like,
but
why are you talking to boys? You can talk to boys, you can play volleyball. And you're like, what? What is going on?
Yeah, and then the other counselor is trying to defuse the situation. She's like, oh, she was just talking to a guy. Like, it's no big deal. She's like the one rational person in this movie.
Yeah.
So after the movie night thing, Paul walks Angela back to her cabin and gives her a little goodnight kiss. which seems kind of excited about it, but she's not sure how to react. But like Paul loves it. But I like the performance by Paul here. He comes off as like a boy who's in love for the first time, or like having a crush for like the first time. I think he's pretty believable there.
Yeah, he's a cute kid.
You sound like the cook. And then the next day, everyone's at the beach and Angela's again just sitting there. And Meg comes up to her and starts talking to her. And when she just doesn't say anything, she starts violently shaking her and like threatening her. This scene's incredible too. Meg flies off the handle so quickly. It's great. And then that's broken up by I think Ronnie comes in and is like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, it is Ronnie. It's like leave her alone. Get out of here. Go back to your post. It's just a strange scene.
Yeah, it's almost like there's something in the water at this camp, you know? Like, people are just so irrational. It's great. I love every second of it.
Every single character in this movie badly needs therapy. And I'm not even sure if the killer needs it the most compared to some of these other people.
Yeah.
And I think the idea here is to have everyone so crazy and insane and angry that we're supposed to think anyone could be the killer.
There's a formula to it. A very simple formula. Everybody's a suspect.
I think that's the implication. That's the intent here. But like, I don't know. It doesn't really work for me that way.
No, well, especially, I mean, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but in the scene where the cook is knocked off his chair, you can see the hands grab the chair, and you're like, that narrows it down to a certain age group, at least.
We know it's not the angry lifeguard, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not like big, muscular, 35-year-old man hands, you know?
Oh, yeah, it's not Ronnie either. Well, again, Ronnie is one of the two good people here, so it'd be weird if he was the killer. I'm tempted to say Paul's a good guy, but there's some character assassination in the second half of the movie where Paul, there's a 180 with Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So back at the cabin, Judy freaks out at Angela.
I like this too.
She insults her body, saying she's a real carpenter's dream, flat as a board and needs a screw.
That might be one of my favorite insults I've ever heard.
It's an incredible line. Is that like a pre-existing line? Like, not that it's from a movie, but I kind of get the impression that's like a well-known kind of joke, but I don't know. I've only heard it in this movie.
I feel like that's something a grandfather would say, in like a dirty grandfather joke. Yeah, you're a carpenter's
something the
dream.
Cook would say.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, and she gets angry at her initially because she notices that Angela never showers with them, and she's like, well, she shower in the morning, we all shower at night. And then she's like, she must be queer or something. And then that's how she starts insulting her body. And then the good counselor steps in and is trying to, again, diffuse the situation. And then Judy just yells, fuck off at her. And then she slaps Judy in the face, and she immediately regrets it. But that's a really fun moment. This scene also with Judy, the actress playing Judy, I don't remember her name. She is incredible in this scene. She is overacting the hell out of it. She's acting it with her eyes.
Yeah.
The way she enunciates too, her eyes and her mouth are just so extreme in this scene. How she's all this facial acting. It's really great stuff.
Well, it's like pure anger or something you're seeing for no reason. And you're like, what is going on?
For mostly no reason, yeah. No, actually, no, for entirely no reason. Judy doesn't have a reason to have beef here. Yeah, she really doesn't. Like, I was thinking maybe she does.
Yeah, she's also like, you got Meg in trouble. It's like, no. She assaulted a kid.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, Meg started shaking her like a psychopath. Yeah, Meg got herself in trouble. Yeah, she was going to
give her like shaken baby syndrome or whatever it is.
So Angela's walking over to see Ricky when she gets hit with a water balloon thrown by, I think, the guy with the USC shirt from earlier. He's hanging around on top of a roof with younger kids. Like, they look like they're in the Ricky age group, but I think they're supposed to be in this guy's age group. Again, the 30-year-old campers. And Ricky sees this and goes on an incredible rant of slinging curse words every which way. And then this is when Mel steps in and breaks it up, and he actually punishes everyone involved here except for Angela. So he punishes Ricky for his filthy mouth.
Well, there's also this kid, too, who looks like 9, maybe 10, He's like on the roof with them.
Yeah, he's out of place in that group. He should be in
Yeah.
Ricky's cabin. Maybe he's trying to impress the older kids. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Maybe he's trying to get them to get these guys that own their own business to give him a job or something.
Can I work at
These
your law firm?
35-year-old entrepreneurs. So the water balloon thrower, the guy who had the USC shirt on earlier, I don't believe he's wearing a shirt at this point. He goes to take, quote, a wicked dump. And so he goes over into the bathroom, which, I mean, this is classic, like, summer camp. The bathrooms are their own separate building.
Mm-hmm.
Although not the showers. I mean, there are showers that are separate, but there's a scene. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Anyways, he goes in there, and then someone bolts the doors from the outside, like putting like a stick through them. A stick that looks super thin, by the way, and easily breakable.
Yeah.
But that doesn't matter. And then the killer cuts a hole in the screen that's like above the toilet stall from the outside and drops in a beehive. This kill took some imagination.
Yeah. I like it.
And he's attacked, and he's trying to get out, but he can't because he's locked in. And he eventually breaks through the door, but it's when he's dead. You know, his face covered in bees.
Well, this kill, I think, is really interesting, and it's cool, and the makeup, too. Like, all these giant welts and, like, blisters on his body from the bee stings. They all look amazing. But this is another...
the makeup is surprisingly good in this movie.
Yeah, which, again, how come they couldn't get anybody else good? This is, again, another one of those kills where it's like, what the fuck was that guy doing shitting? Like, because he's, like, somebody's cutting
Well, I mean, sometimes
through
you just have to go.
Well,
like,
no,
what's
but-
his problem? I don't understand the complaint here.
But, no, I mean, he's sitting there taking a dump, and somebody's cutting through the screen. And he's like, hey, who is that? What are you doing? Is that so-and-so? Why don't you just turn around? Why don't you just look up? Like, it wasn't that far above his head, right? Somebody
Yeah.
tries to put, like...
Or when he's trapped and he's being attacked by bees, why not crawl under the stall?
Yeah, or jump out the already broken, screened-in window, you know?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
what's
you know,
going-
this is an incredibly avoidable death, at any rate.
But it did
I mean,
look
don't get me
good.
wrong,
It
he's
looks
coming
good on
away with
camera.
some severe wounds with the bee stings, but he'll make it. So yeah, at this point, Mel is worried that his camp is going to be shut down because he's like, no one's going to send their kids here now. And you're wondering, why did it take him this long? But he's talking this over with Ronnie. And this is when he mentions, he says something like, I think I know who's behind all this.
Yeah.
And you're like, what's he talking about? And Ronnie's like, what are you doing, man? Like, because at this point, he suspects Ricky is doing the killing. And...
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you might be suspecting that too. I think there's basically two suspects, and Ricky's one of them.
He's definitely like one of the angriest people, if not the angriest person.
I don't
camp.
think you can. I mean, there's so many. I don't think you can measure him with some of the other people. I mean,
yeah,
Meg
like for
violently shakes a
psychopaths.
12-year-old just because she doesn't answer a question.
Yeah.
Paul and Angela go to the lake, and they're kind of making out. And he starts to try and unbutton her shirt, which, you know, again, they're 12. This is a little weird. And then Angela has a flashback, and this is probably the strangest scene of the movie. There's a lot of strange stuff here, but this is up there.
Yeah.
So we have a flashback to those two kids from the opening scene. Two kids, one of whom was killed, and the boy and the girl. And they're spying on their father, who is having sex with the other witness to his death. Remember, their father died in the opening scene. The other guy, the guy that said, you know, come on, the doc's coming over. That guy and John, the father. And then, I mean, that itself is like, okay, it's weird. Then it gets weirder. We get this scene, and this is all done with like a black backdrop, like there's very minimalist set design here. Mm-hmm. Then we get the two kids in bed with each other. They're sitting up. It's not as creepy as, you know, were they doing what the two adults were doing. But then it almost becomes more creepy because the boy... You know what I mean? No, I mean, it's...
Yeah,
this
no,
is a
I agree with you. I
disturbing
totally
scene.
agree with you.
The boy points his finger at the girl, at her chest, give or take, like, you know, in that ballpark region area. And while this is happening, like, the camera is spinning around, or the bed's spinning around, so it's kind of disoriented. It's going slowly, but it's like switching, like sometimes the backboard's here, sometimes it's there. And it goes on, and as this is going on, the boy's finger gets closer and closer to his sister.
Yeah.
And then the scene ends, and Angela yells for Paul to stop, and she runs off.
The flashback is just this super strange thing that feels as out of place. Actually, I guess probably more out of place in the baseball game.
But it's
Yeah, I
also
don't know.
not filler. Like, the baseball scene is filler. This has something. It corresponds to what we're seeing around it. It's out of place in terms of the presentation, because it's this, like, all black, you know, black stage, black backdrop, like, that's weird. It feels, I mean, again, it's a flashback, but it's shot as if it's like a dream, or if it's like Angela's imagination, which it's not supposed to be. At least I don't think. Yeah,
because actually, now that you bring that up, I mean, you know, I don't want to get too into it, but maybe it's supposed to be like a dream, or I can't say anything else without saying anything else about the movie, so I'll just leave it till the end.
Yeah, we can revisit this scene, because this is a scene that's, we don't understand its full importance until the ending. Yeah. And then we still don't really understand its full importance, but it seems a little bit more important, I guess. So anyways, the next day, during Capture the Flag, Judy starts making out with Paul explicitly to get Angela jealous. Angela sees it and she's pissed off, and Ricky's like, you know, you're messed up, Judy, what's wrong with you? And I mean, she is, because this is an uncomfortable scene too, because the actress who plays Judy, again, they try their hardest to make her look like she's like in that 12-year-old age group, but the actress is like 17 or 18, and you can tell. Yeah. Like, they give her the side ponytail kind of thing, which just looks terrible. Yeah, and they give her the high-waisted shorts, which I think are supposed to make her look younger, but really it just makes her look like she's modern day, because those are kind of back. And, I mean, the shirt that says Judy, which she's wearing when she plays volleyball, they're that, I don't know what to say. I mean...
That's my favorite, again, because it reminded me of what her name was. If I was given a shirt like that, I would treasure it for the rest of my life, knowing I was in some strange and terrible and terribly good whatever movie.
But anyways, in the grand scheme of scenes that make you feel uncomfortable in this movie, like a 17 or 18-year-old actress making out with like a 13 or 14-year-old actor, it's worth noting, but, you know, it's no Artie the cook. You know?
We call them
Could be worse, I guess. So later at the beach, Paul apologizes to Angela, and then Meg and Judy come over, and Meg, with the encouragement of Judy, picks up Angela and throws her in the water. Yeah. This is, again, just like, what the hell? And while this is happening, Ricky sees it happening, and he's trying to go help. But Mel, again, who suspects him of doing all the killing, grabs him and is like, you're always there. You're always looking out for her. Like, what if you took it too far or something? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Let me go.
Yeah, what are you talking about, old man?
Yeah, which is an appropriate reaction. Yeah, Mel's great. Mel's awesome.
And it's a great shot because, like, you can see, like, Ricky and Mel arguing, and then directly in between them in the far background is, like, Angela being hauled off down this.
Oh, yeah. It's surprisingly good composition for a movie like this. Again, a movie that was made for a few $1,000s, made very amateurishly. Every now and then they throw in something that looks pretty cool. Whether it's the makeup effects or the occasional interesting shot.
Yeah, one.
Including one of the most interesting shots ever, I will say, at the end. So, later that night, Meg has the night off. So, celebrating her night off, she goes to see Mel and is like, hey, you know that date you promised me? Like, I'm free tonight. And you're like, what the fuck? This dude's in his 60s, maybe older. I mean, he looks older. Honestly, as I believe the actor died not too long after this movie. I think he had cancer while they were shooting it. And Meg is this attractive, like 18, 19-year-old girl. Like, why is she trying to hook up with it? And she's into it. She's like more excited about this than Mel is, even though Mel apparently initiated it at some point, like a week ago or whatever. And so she's going to get ready. She goes back to the cabin, and she's, like, all happy. And she's like, I've got a date tonight. And then Judy's like, with who? And she's like, I'm not going to tell. And I'm like, waiting for, like, when does the shame kick in? It should be here, right? But no, she's still excited. And she goes, again, this is when I say that there are showers in the cabin because she gets ready to shower, but there's a line, so she has to go to a different building to shower. And while she's there, she's like kind of humming in the shower, and she gets stabbed from behind, like through a wall. It's not like a shower curtain, it's a wall. But this person holding a knife scrapes the knife down, just keeps, and you're thinking, like, just lean forward, Meg. Lean forward, like, just a little bit. There's a lot of blood that comes out, and then anyways, she's killed that way. Like, most of her back is like split open, and then the killer like kind of washes the knife in the shower, but not really.
Like,
they pull the knife away, and you still see some blood on it, and then they shut the shower off, and it's like, okay, that was the scene. So Paul then again apologizes to Angela, and she tells him to meet her at the waterfront after some kind of social that they have. And that's kind of just that scene. And then Judy's going back to her cabin with some guy, one of the 30-year-old campers. And then Mel is off looking for Meg because she was supposed to meet him like an hour ago. And he first goes to their cabin, almost stumbles upon Judy having sex with this guy, but she hides him and is like, hey, have you seen Meg? And she's like, no, last time I saw her, she was going to get showered. And so Mel goes back to the shower, the other building, the shower. And it's like the second he walks into the area, the body just falls. Like it was just being held up until he was there.
It was like perfectly balanced, you know?
And then one of the best scenes of the movie, because Mike Kellen, it just goes in a monologue, and the music is swelling. The music's super loud. It's actually hard to understand some of his lines here. But when he first sees her, he's like, "Oh my God, not you, Meg," which I love. Again, classic line delivery. That and the "How the hell did that get there?" Probably my two favorite line deliveries.
Yeah, they're great.
And he just goes on and he's like, he did this. I had him and I let him go. Like, he's just doing funny things with his voice. Like,
yeah,
it's just great. This is a hard scene for an actor to act because he's basically just delivering exposition, but he's supposed to do it while he's mourning the death of someone. Like, it's a hard scene to pull off, and I think Mike Kellen does a fine job, but it is a funny scene.
Yeah, I mean, it could have fallen to lesser actors, and they would have made it way worse.
Oh yeah, I would like to see Ronnie attempt this though.
Oh,
the actor that plays Ronnie with his like thick New York accent, like. I'm not even going to attempt an accent. I don't know. I don't know how I would do that. But anyways.
By the way, he's the best dressed in this whole movie with his like short shorts on over his like tree trunk thighs and like.
Oh,
like,
absolutely. But that one guy with the extreme cutoff shirt was pretty impressive too. The other like counselor. That. I mean, there's a lot of great clothing here, and Judy with the Judy shirt.
Yeah. Well,
three classics there.
Speaking of Judy, I want to go back for a second. I like that scene where she brings that guy back to her cabin and she starts making out with him because you realize, oh, Judy isn't just a bitch to Angela. She's a bitch to everybody. And like she's making out with this guy and she's like, oh, God, you have to kiss so wet? He's like, oh, sorry. Like, I get it. Yeah. But you're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, I think that I know what you're talking about. I think that line is there to say that, like, I mean, Judy's supposed to be like a slut. I think we're supposed to be thinking like, oh, she's got experience with this. The other guys don't. She's like this 12-year-old who sleeps around. I think that's why that's there. She's this 12-year-old who's sleeping with a 30-year-old.
Wow, yeah, good for her.
Because she gets a fitting death.
Yes.
The only way to kill a slut is to shove a curling iron in her vagina in one of the strangest scenes ever. It's actually it's shot in shadow. There's actually a scene that kind of ruins the mystery here, and this is a movie that more so than almost any other movie we've seen deserves to be played at a drive-in theater. It's just like that's just where this belongs.
Yeah.
You don't want to watch this movie indoors. You have problems if you watch this movie indoors, which
yeah, with the curtains closed,
I've watched it indoors plenty of times. Yeah, you don't want other people. You want the anonymity of just being in your car because you're ashamed while you watch it. But anyways, in this scene, when the killer enters Judy's cabin, again, there's that classic, oh, it's you. What do you want? That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But we do see a shot. We see two different shots of the killer. One of them, you can tell who it is. The other one, you can't that well. And it's just a difference of where the actor playing the killer is hiding. Mm-hmm. And in the shot where you can see that, it's very clearly the actor playing Ricky, but he's wearing a wig. Uh-huh. And then in the other shot, you can't really tell who it is. You can tell they have longer hair. Yes. And the reason I say this is meant to be seen at a drive-in, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but this scene in particular, you are not supposed to be able to tell who the killer is, I think. Not even I think, I know, because spoilers, Ricky isn't the killer. We learn that soon enough. We'll get there. So this scene kind of ruins the mystery of the movie a bit if you see it, because I'm not watching this movie on Blu-ray. I'm watching this on Shudder, and you can tell who it is. So it's like
dude, I watched this. By the way, I watched this on Tubi. I love Tubi. That's it. There's promo for Tubi right there.
So then there's this other kind of weird scene where there's like some counselor is taking like little kids out camping kind of for no reason, and he steps away for a bit, and then the kids are killed, and it's like what is this? And then when we find out who the killer is, it doesn't make sense, but whatever. I guess it's just another way to have more dead people.
It does make sense because all those kids were never mind. I'll bring it up again at the end.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with that. I do know where you're going with that, but okay. Anyways, there's a little bit of motivation behind it. I want
Not
my
enough,
killer to
though.
have a tiny
Definitely
bit of
not enough.
motivation, just a tiny bit. Just be mildly annoyed with someone, and then they can kill them. It's that's like the Charles Bronson in the Death Wish sequels. That's how the motivation he has. So then, in a very exciting scene, Mel grabs Ricky, takes him in the woods, and just starts beating the shit out of him, screaming at him. And Ricky's like, "I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." And it's this 70-year-old man kicking the shit out of a 12-year-old. It's great. It's fantastic stuff. And then he says something like, "I got my revenge for Meg," because he really loved Meg, apparently.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, he wanders into the archery range and then looks up and goes, "No, it can't be you. It can't be," because he sees the real killer, who's not Ricky. And then he gets an arrow through his throat. And this is a good effect. This looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
This is the kill I mentioned earlier, that like most of the kills are just kind of like the after effects look pretty cool, but this one, like, no, this one's good. And I like the way the curling iron through the vagina is shot, because that's shot in shadow.
Yeah, it's on tape.
Because you don't want to see that on screen. That's too much.
Yeah.
Like, that's a bit too extreme. So now all of the counselors are being alerted to, there's a couple people missing. Paul's missing, Angela's missing, Ricky's missing, and they now know that those kids in their sleeping bags are killed. The kids who there may have been very slight motivation to kill, which we still haven't fully discussed because we can't spoil it yet, even though I believe I know what you're talking about. And then so all the counselors are like splitting up and going in groups of two, because the cop shows up, no longer with a real mustache. It is like a painted on, I mean, it's like not a painted on, it's
right.
a taped on mustache. And he's the one who discovers, well, I think someone else discovers Judy's body. And then he goes in and he comes out and he's like looking all solemn and shocked and everything. And we just get a few close-ups of him. And then the mustache is so noticeable. It's great. It's fantastic stuff. And this is like Ed Wood level stuff. I mean, there's not that much of that in this movie, but this is, you know, fake mustaches are always great. And so Ronnie and the good female counselor, again, I don't actually remember her name. I'm not sure we get it. I'm sure we probably do. But they go wandering. They're looking for people. And they walk down towards the beach. And they hear singing or humming. And they're like, "Angela, Paul, is that you guys?" And we see a close-up of, like, they appear to be naked. And Paul's head is in Angela's lap. And then we get the moment we've all been waiting for. The scene that makes that first Aunt Martha scene make a little bit of sense.
Yeah.
Because we get a flashback to Aunt Martha talking her crazy talk. It's like, "Oh, it's so lovely to have a little girl here in my house. You know, we had a boy and I always wanted a little girl, but we had a boy, so we just couldn't have another one." Again, with the weird performance and stuff. And it's revealed that the kid that they adopted, the surviving kid from the opening scene, was actually the boy. And Martha has made them dress as a girl the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also apparently Ricky had never met his cousins or something, because he was never able to tell the difference. I don't think Ricky was in on this.
No, and okay, yeah, well, here
that doesn't make much sense, but whatever.
No.
I mean, this is a fun twist here, but it is hit home even further, because when we cut back to present day, Angela stands up, first of all drops Paul's head because Paul's been decapitated with just a knife, which is impressive. That stuff, I mean, you usually need like an axe or something, but just like a little hunting knife, like a Rambo knife.
Yeah.
And as Angela stands and turns, Angela is a boy, and we see it in clear detail. And and Ronnie and the other counselor are, of course, in shock. And the movie ends. We get a couple shots of Angela just staring and kind of like groaning or doing this kind of animalistic noise as her mouth their mouth just remains open, and they're just staring back, and they're like covered in blood and stuff. And the movie ends on a freeze frame of that image. And it's worth noting, because the actress playing Angela is Felissa Rose, she's 12, so you're not going to show her nude in this movie or something like that. I mean, you're not going to do that. Although if one movie does, it seemed like it would be this one. And then that's not her real face. I mean, that's a mask, and it's on an actor. It's supposedly on some like college actor who was or some like college kid who was so embarrassed and felt so awful about doing the scene that he got really, really drunk beforehand.
Oh my God.
I can't really blame him. So he's just standing there, and so that's a mask, and the movie ends on that freeze frame, and you can't really tell it's a mask. It looks good.
I don't know what it was for me. I don't know if it was like the animalistic moaning, groaning, grunting.
Yeah, there's that sound.
Or if it was maybe the transition between the mask and the body, but something looked off, but that looked like Angela's actual face. And the body.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't
different.
match that well with the body. That's actually, I like these shots more in close up actually than the longer shots, and not just because there's less penis in them, but no, I actually think the mask itself looks great. The skin tone's off, and I don't know how much of that is like the blood smeared on the person, but
yeah.
Anyways, that's the end of the movie. It's an incredible ending, and I assume those kids that were killed were the ones throwing sand at Angela?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I was thinking.
But yeah, you're probably right. But like, really, it doesn't matter. That's just we need more people dead in this movie.
Also, for a movie that had so many opportunities to show nudity of somebody who's clearly 18 plus, but like
Meg, for instance, Meg showers and we don't see anything.
Yeah. They are willing to go...
She's old enough to be dating a 70-year-old. She's got to be 18, right?
Well, exactly, yeah. But, like, there's no nudity in this movie, which I'm not complaining about, but there's no nudity in this movie except for, like, this full frontal shot at the end.
Well, and we get the bare asses in the skinny dipping scene.
Oh, yeah,
the 30-year-old man skinny dipping. But, yeah, that's interesting. This movie, for being an 80s slasher flick, there is less nudity in it than you would expect from, like, watch, like, The Burning or a lot of the Friday the 13th movies. But then it's also somehow more about sex than the other movies, too, and it gets really creepy with that.
Yeah, well, you know what, too? When I was watching it the second time, I thought, this seems almost like it would play on, like, television at, like, 3 in the afternoon. Like horror or, like, sci-fi horror channel or something. You know what I mean? Like, around Halloween time, they're like, hey, what's a weird slasher movie we could play that maybe some kids could watch up until the last 5 seconds of the movie? Oh, this is...
I don't know. We get pedophilia 15 minutes in.
That's exactly, but that's so weird because the rest of it is so tame, other than murder. Like it's people kissing and people being like,
and even the deaths themselves aren't overly violent.
No,
like the Judy stuff is disgusting, but it's shot in a way that a kid wouldn't quite know what's going on necessarily.
Yeah.
Not that I want a child watching this at all. But yeah. Like the Meg I was thinking of the Meg death. That's the one we probably get the most blood with. But it's like the shots are disconnected. You see Meg in the shower like wincing and stuff, and then you see the shots of the knife just kind of going down the wall and there's some blood. It's like that's the most blood we get, and it's still fairly tame.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just so weird to have this movie that's fairly tame, even like for the 80s. And then up at the very end, they just show like full frontal male nudity. And this grotesque representation of Angela or something, like that's just like.
Yeah. So, what did you think of? Let's start with the twist ending. What did you think of this?
I was actually a little confused in the boat crash scene at the very beginning. And you see the boy floating there, you don't see his face. I knew that was the boy, because it didn't have the same hair as the girl, right? And I was like,
I think that's another, like, Ricky in a wig thing, where they're just kind of hoping you don't notice that.
Yeah, well, because then I was so confused. So I saw that scene, and then it immediately cuts to the crazy aunt in her house talking to Ricky and Angela. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. Angela is Ricky's cousin, but I thought the boy survived. Oh, whatever, I'll go with the flow. But then by the time I got to the end of the movie, I'd kind of forgotten about the opening, and I was like, oh my god, this is a twist. And then the second time I was watching, I was like, wait, this isn't a twist. Is it a twist? I don't know.
It's definitely a twist. Again, you're watching it at a drive-in. It's not the clearest screen. It's just, you just see the kid from behind. You're not supposed to know which kid it is. I'm okay with something like that. I think the Ricky scene the Ricky coming in to kill Judy scene is a bit more blatant, or a lot more blatant. Like, I wish they didn't have that one shot in there because it's obvious who it is. But yeah, no, this twist is, well, one, it makes the insane Aunt Martha performance make more sense because the character is insane. Yes, like, that's the point of Aunt Martha. She's insane. That's why she's a doctor somehow. She's a medical doctor. We know this from the opening scene, and then she reminds us in the next scene. But she is insane, and so she had her adopted son dress up as a girl. And this is a movie that, like, I think you could look at it either way in terms of the implications of that. You could be saying, like, oh, this is a movie that's saying, like, people who are confused about their gender identity are psychopaths and killers and stuff like that. And, well, first of all, I would point out that every other character in this movie may not be a killer, but they're all psychopaths in their own way. Yeah. But also, I mean, you could look at it as in the sense that, like, someone who's, you know, this thing being imposed on this poor kid by Aunt Martha is fucking up with that kid's psyche and making them go wrong. And not that I want to say this is a movie that's sympathetic to people in this situation, but, like, I mean, who's at fault here? Is it Angela or is it Aunt Martha? Or a combination of the two?
Definitely at the end of the movie, it's a weird and fucked up ending, and the whole thing that's been going on is pretty fucked up. But then at the end, you're like, oh, I do feel bad for Angela. Because then you think of all the times that Paul was into her, you know? And,
well, yeah, not even just the Paul thing. And I actually I hinted at this earlier, but I kind of skipped it over. Paul gets, he's approaching being rapey at the end when he's with her on the beach. And when we get that, I kind of skipped over it because we were focusing mostly on that flashback, that weird-ass flashback.
Which also makes more sense.
Yes. A little bit, yeah, but yeah, Paul is being pretty forceful there, and it's disappointing because he seemed like a good guy. He seemed like a likable character. I mentioned the character kind of does a 180, and I mean, I think some of it is like, okay, again, this kid's a 13, 14-year-old kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. This is his first, like, girlfriend kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But then I'm also thinking, he's a 13, 14-year-old kid. Why is he trying to have sex with someone? Like, it's just a little, like, okay, yeah, this kid, maybe he doesn't deserve my sympathy and my understanding. I don't know if he deserves to be beheaded, but beheaded cleanly with a knife.
Well, I mean, just like, I don't know if those kids that threw sand deserve to be hacked to death by, like,
that's the big one, these 4-year-old kids. I mean, that's like what they did is no worse than Angela, who, as a boy, I don't know what Angela's name was, you know, in the opening scene, but they threw their dad off the sailboat. Isn't that as bad as throwing sand at a girl?
Well, you know, going to that scene that's confusing, I think, for the both of us, of that weird flashback of her dad and that other man having sex. What I was trying to say earlier was maybe it's not like a real flashback, but maybe she's thinking about it. She's like, oh, this would be like my dad and so-and-so having sex because I'm a boy and Paul's a boy. Or maybe they were lovers, which from the opening, looking back on it, you might go, oh, that these two men were actually lovers or were married or whatever. And you might think, oh,
they're not married. I think that's supposed to be kind of a shock. Because, well, in this scene when, well, one, gay marriage in 1983 in America was,
very true,
you know, a fantasy, but also, like, in this flashback / dream, whatever, the kids seeing their father sleeping with another man, they're, like, laughing, and they're kind of like, I think they're surprised by it, not just because it's their dad, not just because it's sex, but specifically because it's sex between two men. I think that's the implication.
And what I still don't understand is the scene where boy Angela is pointing at his sister. Is he pointing at her because he's like it's supposed to? I don't even know.
Okay, here's the thing. I think, because we brushed over this, I didn't want to get into it too much because we hadn't gotten to the ending yet. But again, this movie is messed up in a lot of ways. I think that kid, Angela as a boy, I don't believe we get the names of the kids. I think that they're going for something incestuous there, right?
I don't know.
I'm not saying that's what it has to be, but it's definitely on the table as far as an interpretation. Like, I think that kid is like, I saw what those two people are doing, let's do this too. And he's pointing at her. I mean, they're in the same bed. Again, they're not like lying down next to each other, but I think that's what that's going for.
Yeah.
It sounds insane. Like, oh, how could a movie imply the possibility of incest between two 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, however old they are? But then again, this is a movie that has a pedophile talking openly about his pedophilia in front of his colleagues. It's like, okay, if any movie's going to do that, it would be this movie, I think.
Yeah, because that's what I thought at first, but then I just kind of threw that out the window. I was like, no, that's too weird. But that finger point...
It's too weird for most movies. I don't think it's too weird for this movie.
Yeah, and I think the thing that maybe seals the deal for that interpretation is the finger. You know what I mean? relatively
exactly.
phallic, I guess.
Yeah, okay, that's what you're going for. Okay, you're going for the boring-ass Freudian interpretation, I see.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just such a strange movie. But I do like going back. Like this conversation that we've had, I have liked reliving it and thinking about all the times that they have hinted at something not being quite right with Angela, other than the no talking for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean the big one is the Judy. How come Angela doesn't shower with us at the same time as us?
Yeah.
And again, that scene does a good job of, because then Judy mentions that and then quickly goes into just insulting her. So the movie brings up this question, but then moves on from it and just gets back to Judy just being an asshole bully. But then when you get to the end of the movie, it's like, oh, they did hint at that with that line, at least. And I think there's a few other couple. Well, I guess the other big one is Aunt Martha giving them their physicals.
Yeah,
she forged their physicals or whatever. So that's the other, I guess, hint.
Yeah, like it's almost like you watch this movie and you're like, what a weird fucking bizarre thing. And then you watch the twist and you're like, holy shit. And then it makes you rethink the entire movie. And you're like,
absolutely,
this is a much smarter movie than I gave it credit.
If you take away the twist, this movie is The Room. You know, we're like getting into that territory where it's like, it's just dumb and it's terrible and it's poorly acted. Again, some good makeup effects here. There's some enjoyable performances, but for the most part, the acting is atrocious. Yeah. And it's not well shot, and the dialogue's bad, and the mustache, the fake mustache. I mean, there's so many qualities of this movie that are just abysmal. But then you factor that twist in, and it's like, it lends this movie something. It's like it becomes creative. It's this weird, creative, almost John Waters type thing. And it's like, I think for me, it's like the two things that push this into like being really not just enjoyable as a bad movie, but downright fascinating to me, are obviously the twist and what it does with that. And the twist, as blatant as it is handled pretty subtly. It's a genuinely well mapped out twist. Again, going back to the first scene, I mentioned like they plant all these, not clues because they're not clues yet because there is no mystery, but these little seeds of like all these things come back in a way. I think it's slightly ruined by Aunt Martha saying that she's a doctor. That kind of, that takes away the subtlety of that opening scene. And then also the fact that everyone is just insane. The fact that everyone has just flipped a switch to 11 on the chrysometer is just really, that's those two things together just make this interesting to me. And again, going back to, I don't know if this is a good bad movie, i.e. a movie that you enjoy because it's bad, because it has awful qualities that make it funny, because this movie does have that. Again, fake mustache being a big one. Or if it's a bad good movie, i.e. a movie that had ambition and some kind of drive to it that just failed in a lot of ways. I think it's kind of both.
It has to be, because you look at some aspects of the movie, again, like the makeup, and you're like, you can tell somebody either hired the right people or they put a lot of thought into how they wanted something to look. Or, you know, that person who was working on the project.
Yeah, but you could
great.
easily shrug that off and say makeup is a small aspect of the movie. Because, I mean, I've seen bad movies that have just one aspect that they do really well. I've seen really bad movies that have a pretty darn good musical score. Star Wars prequels, for instance. I don't think that in and of itself is enough. But I think the twist ending, the cleverness in giving us information about the mystery. But here's the thing, at the end of the day, like, it really is, it's a surprise about one specific thing. The fact that Angela's the killer isn't at all a surprise. Mm-hmm. Honestly, Angela's motivations are like, I guess there's just one more layer to them, because otherwise we know, okay, someone's killing someone. If it's not Ricky, it's got to be Angela. And why are they killing these people? Because they did mean things to Angela.
Yeah.
And then we see it's Angela, and it's like, okay, yeah, Angela, okay, killed Paul because Paul almost tried to rape her. And then it's like, whoa, wait a second, Angela's also a man. And that makes the... I mean, that doesn't additionally explain that doesn't additionally explain the murder of Judy. It sure as hell doesn't explain the murder of those random kids. But it's like, it explains the Paul stuff a bit more, because there was a lot more sexual confusion going on than we thought earlier when it was just like two kids like being intimate for the first time. There's more going on than just that. And that's why Paul gets decapitated.
looking back on it, another death that I thought was maybe a little too harsh for somebody was the kid that Angela drowns under the canoe.
I think that, yeah, that guy's an asshole, but, like, he just kind of made fun of her. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, we can look at this movie and say, like, Meg deserved it, Judy deserved it. Like, they're the two nastiest people here.
Uh-huh.
And I guess the wicked dump guy, you know, throwing the water balloon at her.
I guess Mel didn't deserve it unless Angela saw him.
Mel didn't do anything to Angela. Mel,
yeah.
if Ricky were the killer, Mel would have gotten it really bad, but he didn't actually do anything to Angela, so he's innocent in Angela's eyes, I guess.
Half the murders are well deserved, you know, pedophile, Judy.
Oh yeah, I forgot about it. Yeah, Artie deserves it the most, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that guy, that's a justifiable homicide if I've ever seen one. That guy needed to go.
Yeah. But everybody else is just like, everybody's already so crazy. Like, as we keep on saying, everybody's already so crazy. And it's like killing people for, like, a minor annoyance. Everybody else, other than, like, 3 characters.
Again, Death Wish 3, once you get into the Charles Bronson Death Wish sequels. It's kind of like that.